this is gonna be my second special report. This is not part of the series that I've been doing, but someone sent this to me today, and I told her that I would look into it, and I feel that it is necessary that I do a report on it. So, what this covers is I'm reading a Inquisitor article. There are several different sources on this, but this is the one I chose. It came out today, September 16th, 2014. Federal Judge Richard Posner wants rape licenses for certain people to have the right to rape. A federal judge. I'm going to go on and read the article now. If there is at least one travesty in the United States that we all can get behind as a transgression that deserves punishment, it is surely rape. The forceful act of fornicating with an unwilling victim is so heinous, even hardened convicts serving life in prison consider it offensive in their eyes. Here at the Inquisitor, we have reported numerous times when this crime was committed and how other societies view it. This includes the fact that in Pakistan, 90% of the 1.5 million homeless children are raped, and the men consider it commonplace. Luckily, those men don't live in a civilized world where they'd be in prison with other inmates who would rape and torture them as a form of justice. However, one federal judge in the United States wants to make rape legal, but only if a person has a rape license. That's right, a judge wants to legalize the violent act of forced fornication on a victim. According to Barb Wire, Judge Richard Posner, a federal judge with the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals, is a hero when it comes to gay marriage, with his stance in which tradition shouldn't be a reason to retain anything, especially marriage. He is apparently extending it out to all things sexual in his book, Economic Analysis of Law. He explains that it isn't always wrong for a man to rape a woman. His suggestion is that the government should start issues of rape licenses based upon an exclusively utilitarian and morally relative cost-benefit analysis in which the right to rape for certain men extends the victim's physical and emotional pain. It is amazing that a judge of all people to legitimize and rationalize legal licensing to rape someone. Judge Richard Posner states that rape bypasses the market in sexual relations, marital and otherwise, in the same way that theft bypasses markets in ordinary goods and services, and it should therefore be forbidden. The above statement sounds valid, but Judge Richard Posner continues on with an exception. He says that some rapists derive extra pleasure from the fact that women has not consented. For these rapists, there is no market substitute, and it could be argued, therefore, that for them, rape is not a purely coercive transfer and should not be punished. However, this is only valid as long as the pleasure to the rapist does one thing, which we covered earlier in this article: exceed the victim's physical and emotional pain. Summarized, Judge Richard Posner is legitimizing rape for certain people just because it is their only way to attain sexual pleasure, and their pain is more than whatever pain the rape victim experiences. Charisma News also reported on this, in which they explain why Judge Richard Posner would even consider this. Apparently, he is a faithful disciple of Alfred Kinsey, the sexologist who performed multiple scientific orgies in which he practiced homosexuality and sadomasochism. There we go. He's also the man who supposedly discovered that rape doesn't really hurt women in his 1953 volume, Sexual Behavior in the Human Female. And they go on to say, what do you think about Judge Posner's view of the legitimate rape? Does this make you sick? Are you even surprised anyone would even think legitimizing this form of violence against another? And I'm asking the same question. Please let me know what you think in the comments. I'm going to look up this Alfred Kinsey guy. So this is going to be an extended report. Simply because I've studied the history and the thinking of these types of people. We're going to go into, you know, a little bit of the history of him. It says, well, first we're going to do this, and then we'll go into the Alfred Kinsey. Richard Allen Posner, born January 11th, 1939, is an American jurist, legal theorist, and economist. He is currently a judge on the United States Court of Appeals of the 7th Court in Chicago and a senior lecturer at the University of Chicago Law School. He is a leading figure in the field of law and economics and was identified by the Journal of Legal Studies as the most cited legal scholar of the 20th century. So he's teaching in a university. Posner is the author of nearly 40 books on jurisprudence, economics, and several other topics, including economic analysis of law, the economics of justice, the problems of jurisprudence, sex and reason, law, pragmatism and democracy, and the crisis of capitalist democracy. Posner has generally been identified as being politically conservative. However, in recent years, he has distances himself from the positions of the Republican Party. So now I'm going to pause. I'm going to look this Alfred guy up, and we'll continue the report. Okay, this is where we start linking these people together. Anytime that you read an article that bothers you, especially one like this, what I'm getting ready to read to you, I've read through about half of this. Now, one thing that really stands out to me, now in my last video, if you did not watch my last hour report for the series, part 2, Groupthink, you need to watch it, and then you'll understand what I'm saying in this report. It says, this is about this Kinsey guy that supposedly this Richard Posner studied under. Alright? And there's going to be a name you recognize in this. This is where they link in their thinking and their studies. In the 1930s, Kinsey agreed to teach a marriage course when his students started asking him questions about sex. Kinsey realized there was very little scientific data on the matter. He decided to apply the principles of scientific research toward the topic of sexual behavior. In 1938, he launched a sex studies program. In the early 1940s, he produced funding from the National Research Council and the Rockefeller Foundation's Medical Division. In 1947, Kinsey and his research assistants became incorporated under the name the Institute of Sex Research, Inc. Now I'm going to pause and read on. But the fact that Rockefeller has anything to do with it, there you go. And you wonder why these people have the thinking that they do. They all think the same. They completely believe that they should not have any morals whatsoever, and that should just do what they want to do when they want to do it, and say what they want to say, and whatever they feel at the time is okay to do. I'm going to put my commentary in on this also. Now, he says that his way of thinking is that the victim of rape, the fact that the person doing the raping, if they're not allowed to do it, that their pain is worse than the victim that actually gets raped. That's his way of thinking. Okay? So what happens if, say, they pass this? Nobody in their right mind would do it. But what if they think, oh, well, what about a person that's a pedophile? Are they going to start giving out pedophile licenses? Because it's not legal for them to do that to children? Is this why they're so tolerant to the Sharia law and to Muslim faith? because the Muslims and Islamist extremists think it's okay to marry 8-year-old children. They don't talk about how most of them have to have their babies on their own at 8 years old by themselves, and sometimes they never go back to being normal again because it tears up their bodies or they die from it. Is he going to justify? Does he think that's justified? I don't think that's justified. Morally, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. This is crazy shit, in my opinion. It's not righteous. It's not just. It's disgusting. Now I'm going to read on, and if I find anything else on here of interest, I will continue the report on it. Alright, I found this of interest here. It says, because Kinsey's research dealt openly with human sexuality during a time when the topic was taboo, his work was a subject of much controversy. During the course of his study, Kinsey was subjected to anti-communist investigations. Loss of funding in a lawsuit by U.S. Customs over a collection of erotic photos. Nevertheless, Kinsey's Institute for Sex Research still survives today under the new title, the Kinsey Institute for Research in Sex, Gender, and Reproduction. Okay, now I've looked into, there was a video on this bio report that I read for you in this report. I will post that information underneath this article, underneath this report. Now, I'm gonna look into this because I looked up his name on YouTube, and there's several different videos about him on YouTube. So if you want to do that yourself, you can look this up. There is a lot of people that support him, and there's a lot of people say that he was into some pretty sick stuff. So, I mean, if this Richard Posner, this judge, looks up to this guy, maybe we need to dig into who this guy is, and that way we can kind of figure out what his mindset is with this. But either way, there's no excuse for it. The story seems to be true. I mean, it's linking to all these different people that he admired in his history. So it seems likely that he would, from what I've seen so far, he would make a statement like that. Now, he's been involved with Rockefeller and the other elitists. He studied at the same colleges as they studied at. So, you know, put 2 plus 2 actually equals 4. So, like I said, you find these articles, that's what all you got to do is you watch for the names that are brought up, you know, what context it is, and look it up, and you can find all this stuff. It's all right here on the internet. Like I said, I'm going to keep going through this, see if I can find anything. I might post like a short video clip if I can find anything short enough. What I'm looking at now is over an hour long, and I really don't want to make the report that long because people can actually, you know, you can just go on YouTube and find them yourself and look at them and then come to your own opinion. But no, I don't think that they should legalize that, because you let them do that, there's no limit on what they can do. Like I said, you know, once they try to do something like that, then they're going to say, oh, well, we got these pedophiles, they just can't help it, they can't get satisfied with anything, there's nothing out there for them, you know, maybe we should just make a license where they can do that. No, this is the kind of people we are living under, that think it's okay to go out and do things like that. These are the people that are putting people behind bars, or not putting people behind bars based on their opinions. And this is my view on it. If someone tries to rape me, I have a Second Amendment right, and that is under the law. They're going to get the judge, and it ain't going to be Richard Posner. I can tell you that right now. When is this going to end? When are men in high places with morality going to stand up against this type of stuff? This has nothing to do with whether or not a person is gay or lesbian, or what they choose to do in their own home. This has to do with them thinking it's okay to make a license to just go out and rape people. It doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. That does not make it right. And I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. These are the types of people that these colleges are producing. These are the types of people that you're sending your children into college to learn from. Not to mention the fact that when they get done, if they're not born with a silver spoon in their mouth, but they're intelligent and they've worked their way through school and they've managed to get a scholarship to these colleges, the majority of them end up in debt to the very same people who are teaching them these sick things. It's okay. Sex is okay. I'm not talking bad about sex. Okay? But when they try to say that when someone looks at you and says, "No, I don't want you to touch me," no is no. Peeing on your attacker is not going to stop them. Having a dog, it might help, but if a person's sick enough, they're not going to care if you got a dog or not. Now, like I said, I went through and read to you the people who have taught these people. I've went back to the 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th centuries, telling you the thoughts of these people, where they come from, what they think, what's inside here. And now we're seeing the product of it. And they're doing this stuff openly. They've admitted what they're doing and what they want to do. And then a lot of people say, well, what can we do about it? What's your answer? What are you going to do about it? What I'm doing right now. Knowledge. Teaching. Covering the stories. Getting the truth out there. That is helping. Speaking up. Speaking out against stuff like this. And it's not really hard to follow the sources and figure out where it stems from. It's Rockefeller. It's the owners of these big banks. The Federal Reserve, that's not even federal. It's a private bank, private entity. Like I told you before in one of my I guess it wasn't my first video, but where I got really upset. And I said, these people do not have a conscience. They don't care about you. They're using you to fill their pockets. And they're manipulating your children. They've got their clutches on the school system. They've got their clutches on the media, the entertainment industry, the music industry. And you want to know why? Because we've allowed it to happen. They are taking the wealth of the world. And there's not very many of them, but they've managed to do it through manipulation, mind control, and the Hegelian dialectic. And they admit how they do it. It's all written down. They've admitted it. That's like a mass murderer walking into a police station with a full report on what he's planning on doing and saying, I'm going to go do this. And they say, okay, and the police officer says, okay, and just opens the door and lets him go, and he goes out and does it. Their confessions have been written throughout time. This is not a conspiracy theory. It's facts. Now, what are we going to do about it? Does it really matter now that you see the truth? Now that I'm telling you, and I'm giving you the sources on where to go, and you see it, and you know it now. Does it really matter whether or not you are popular? It's their system that they've built to keep you down. It has nothing to do with your friends or what they think. They're ignorant. They don't know the truth. You do. If you've been listening to me for the last couple months, you know now. So is it your silence benefiting your friends? If they're truly your friends, is your silence benefiting them? If they're truly your friend and you care about them and you care about yourself, you'll pick up that camera and you'll get in front of it. And you'll start helping me share the truth. I'm not doing this for popularity. I'm doing this because I care about humanity and I care about my country. This can't go on anymore. We think we're free and we're not. We're living under psychopaths. Anyone that would say that rape is okay and that the government should give out license for it, there's something mentally wrong with that person. Then you find out who taught them. Where did they learn this? Who did they study under? Who does it lead to? Right back to the same succubus we keep coming back to every time. Several different names. Maybe 4 or 5. What? Rothschild, Rockefeller, J.P. Morgan. Any of their institutions that they found. Then you got all these ABCs of the government, you know, the CFR, the FBI, the Federal Reserve. They have different names, but they're all the same. We need help in this. I don't want my children living in this type of society. Living under people who think that giving out a license to rape is okay. And I don't know who in their right mind thinks it's a good idea to have this man as a judge. Anyway, I'm done with my ranting. I'm going to end this video now. And I'm planning on making a part 3 for American Babylon. I just haven't put it together yet, because I decided to work on this because I felt this was very, very important. Like I've stated before, and I'm going to end soon. Even if you don't want to do something, or you don't want to hear something, or you are in fear of what's going to happen when you confront your friends and you show them the truth, it's got to be done. Sometimes we have to do things we don't want to do. Sometimes we have to say things we don't want to say. Sometimes, if you're a good person in your heart and in your mind and in your soul, and you are a God-fearing, righteous person, you've got to look that demon in the eye. And you've got to put him in his place. God and Jesus Christ, whether you're religious or not, this is my belief, has given us, through Him, He works through us, He comes through us, He has given us through Him His authority to tread on snakes and scorpions. Get behind me, Satan. Leave. These people study the most evil art of occult, Satanistic, Kabbalistic evil. And we wonder why they don't have a conscience. And He says, come back to me, the Lord says. Seek my face. Seek me and you shall find me. Ask and you shall receive. And seek me and I will heal your land. I may not have said the exact words of the scripture. These people, this is the reason why Jesus Christ, Christianity, the Word of God is being attacked right now. Morality, even, if you aren't religious, but you're a good person. You can see the moral decay that is going on around the world and in our country. You can see it. You can feel it. And it is because of people like this. It is because of people who are being taught by people like this, who thinks it's okay for the government to issue license to rape. How far do we have to fall before we dig ourselves out of the hole we're in and stand strong as a nation again? I just keep getting deeper and deeper into this. Because I can't allow. I will not be able to leave my children behind in a society like this.